Welcome back to the Out of Bounds podcast. I'm Charlie Caleri alongside
Gavin Williams.
And Gavin, some people they say that Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year because welcome to March.
Well, I think it's March. I'm
saying welcome to March.
Welcome to March.
Because it's the most wonderful time of the damn year.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I mean,
Come on.
the
One
tournament,
shining moment.
one shining moment.
Better than any Christmas song ever.
Tournament getting started up. I mean, it's the best tournament, best event in sports.
Best event, best tournament, best playoff,
Best weekend, best
month.
Yeah.
Almost a month.
October's a pretty great sports month overall, but I think
this
March
stretch from conference tournaments to Final Four.
Yep.
Nothing better.
And we were in a little bit of a dead stretch there from end of Super Bowl to now to conference tournaments, but now we're right back into it right after this. After March Madness, we'll be right into MLB NHL playoffs.
You're forgetting about something really important.
And the NFL draft coming up soon.
You're forgetting about something really special to me.
The Masters are coming up soon. Yeah, the Masters are coming up soon too.
Come on, there's nothing better than a Sunday morning hearing the theme song on the Masters.
No Jim Nantz though.
Yeah, I know.
Not anymore.
I know, but
unfortunately.
But when he says hello, friends.
Yeah, it's the best.
And sad to say, everybody, Jim Nantz is not announcing this Final Four either.
No,
which is gonna be really, really weird.
I mean, obviously Hall of Fame career. I don't know who it's gonna be.
Fingers crossed, Gus Johnson.
I don't think it's gonna be Gus Johnson. I
saw somewhere that it was gonna be on True TV.
There's a small possibility. I mean, Gus Johnson. I know he's a big True
TV guy.
Big Fox Sports guy too, though. They don't do many tournament games, so
they don't.
I guess we'll see on that. But starting it off as we're recording this, probably going to be out hopefully today as we're recording this.
March 19th, 2024, approximately 3:30 p.m.
Right before the first four games. Sorry, not the Final Four. First four. Thank God it's not the Final Four yet. First four games.
You got to cherish these couple weeks.
Yeah, so
greatest weekend in history coming up.
Today, let's dive right into it. We got Wagner and Howard in Virginia and Colorado State. So we're going to dive into every game, every single game, every match. How many of them? How many? 67 games that there are? I think there's 63.
And we're going to be predicting, and we're going to be rolling through this whole. That's 95 games we're going through right now?
Yeah, and then our bracket will be posted eventually on our Instagram. That's legit.
Yeah.
That is legit. But let's get into Wagner versus Howard. So
take us off, Charles.
Yeah,
who do you got here?
This is the 16 seeds right here, and the winner of this game will be fortunate enough to play North Carolina, which is a great consolation prize if you win this game. But right now, ESPN projects that Howard's going to win this game. If you're a betting person, Howard is favored by 3.5 points, which means that they're just like slightly favored. But it's a big amount, honestly, for this kind of game. So honestly, I think I'm going to take Howard in this game.
I mean, Howard, that's a great pick. They got some dogs on their team.
They do. I mean, one of their guys that they got their leading point scorer is B. Harris, their guard. He's averaging 16.6 per game on 55% field goal percentage. So pretty efficient shooter. So watch out for him in the tournament this year.
Yeah, in the next game, we have a battle of the 10 seeds for another first four for tonight. Approximately 9:10 p.m. tip-off. Let's go. Virginia, Colorado State. One of these teams should not be in the dance. Let's just say
no. We'll touch on that in a little bit.
But unfortunately, I'm going to pick the team that I don't think that should be in the dance. And I'm going to go Virginia because of one man. His name's Isaac McNeely, and this kid's a baller.
He is a bucket.
He missed the free throw in the NC State game, the semifinal ACC tournament game. But, I mean, he was lights out everywhere else. I mean, This guy pops it from wherever on the court. I mean,
and he drills it.
And he drills it. But he doesn't drill free throws. He's going to shake that off. They're going to get the win tonight. So they're going to be moving on to a 10 seed against Texas, I believe. Actually, I might be wrong on that. I can't remember who they're playing.
Who? Sorry.
The winner of Virginia and Colorado State.
The winner of that game will be playing Texas, yeah.
Yeah.
So another great consolation prize. Texas is probably the best 7 seed.
I would agree.
But actually, guys, we're not going to be going through every game, especially the first 4 games. We're not going to be doing that. We're just going to go through it. We're just going to be talking about the top picks that we have, like the top teams, some Cinderellas to look out for. Some teams that maybe shouldn't have got in, like we were talking about Virginia. I guess we'll start there. Some teams that shouldn't have got in.
We'll start right there.
That should have got in. Maybe some teams that didn't get in that should have got in over some of the other teams. So let's just start there, and then we'll go Cinderella, and then we'll go through our final 4 top picks and our
maybe
champions.
maybe some more rambling on. It's the greatest time of the year. We might get lost in our words.
I love it. I mean, maybe our favorite all-time game right at the end.
So we're gonna start off. Ray of Virginia, like I was mentioning earlier, should not be in the tournament.
No,
I mean, it's hard to look at Virginia and say this is a tournament team this year, especially after last year with Furman. Looking at them,
I mean they lost that first round game to the Paladins on that buzzer beater. They blew the game, and then they basically blew their season.
They blew the game in the semifinals of the ACC tournament. This isn't a Virginia team that we've seen that's making historical runs. This isn't a Tyler Guy or Kyle Guy moment.
Not at all. He filled out his bracket, actually. I saw this. March Madness Instagram posted this. And they posted a few celebrities. Very interesting if you haven't looked at it yet.
Mac McClung had Texas Tech winning it.
Yeah, very. I mean, did he go there?
I think he went.
I think he went there. But Kyle Guy, speaking of people who went there, he went to Virginia and won a national championship with them. He had them losing in the second round. Yeah. So, I mean, he's not a very biased guy. He doesn't really probably think that the Cavaliers should be in either. But, I mean, he said, don't get it twisted. I still love my Who's. But he knows it's the down year for them.
I mean, let's talk about this, though. We have a team, one of the most historic teams in the 1979 March Madness run. Indiana State, Larry Bird's alma mater.
Yeah.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Not Kareem. Cream. Cream. Cream.
Avila, right? That's the last name?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a bucket,
Hooper.
too. I mean,
he's a big boy, but he's got buckets.
This guy was in the NBC Conference Tournament Championship against Drake, and he did not ball out that game. I will say that. They have some other buckets on their team. I don't know their names.
Why they got kicked out.
They did get kicked out, and Drake got in. And that is a big loss, especially for the NBC, because those two teams both deserve to get in. And if those two teams are not going to get in this year for not just the NBC, but other mid-majors, that's not a good sign for the future. And especially other conferences, even like the Big East this year. They only had three teams
disrespectful.
And two of them were top 2 seeds. So, I mean, what are we...
I was looking somewhere. It was the net ranking for Indiana State. Before, I think that game was about a 29.
They're still...
net rank.
They finished at 29.
Yeah. Net rank's 29. So they're the 29th best team in the country. And out of the field of 68 teams, you're telling me they don't get in?
I don't believe it.
I saw Virginia was somewhere in the 54 range. Unbelievable. St. John's, ooh. Coach is mad.
Yeah, St. John's was, I mean...
John Pitino.
Rick Pitino,
sorry.
St. John's.
Celtics legends right
Is
there.
He?
He was a coach.
He was a Celtics coach, but he wasn't great, though, was he?
No.
Yeah.
He was mentioning them in the interview. He said even though it was probably the worst year in his worst years being a coach for the Celtics, he said it was a lot more fun.
Yeah.
He said this is the most enjoyable year he's ever been part of a team.
But he also said he would have never left Kentucky if he had the chance, which is a crazy statement to say after you won a national championship with another school.
With Louisville.
That was actually the topic of conversation during
interstate rival.
Yeah, Rick Pitino had an interview with somebody. I don't really know who it was. I don't remember, but he was talking about how the Louisville 2013 national championship got stripped, and talking about how that team earned it, which they did. There was literally like $5,000 in grants that the school got, and then they stripped their title away. Just stupid by the NCAA, another NCAA move. But he was talking about how he coached at the Celtics, and then he left Kentucky back in the 90s, and he just said, I wish I never left Kentucky because I feel like I would have had a dynasty there.
He would have.
Where would Coach Cal be now? Where would the program be? I don't know. That's a big
what if.
Big what if right there. But getting back to this year, St. John's not making it and not even playing in the NIT. They declined
their bid, yeah. We'll talk about that for a
few
second.
Teams did, actually. Indiana State included, I'm pretty sure.
Indiana State's in it.
Indiana State, sorry, is in the NIT. But
Oklahoma, Indiana, Pitt, St. John's, and there's
South Florida, I think declined, or South Florida I think's in it. Yeah.
They're playing
UCF, which is a great matchup for if you're a South Florida or a Southern Florida basketball fan.
Memphis was another team.
Memphis was another team, which everybody's kind of mad about Memphis now because they're feeling like Penny Hardaway's kind of driving that program right into the ground.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, I understand the option for, or not the option, but the decision for schools like St. John's or just like those bigger schools that just got out to decline the NIT because they felt like they should have been in the big tournament. So why
give your players a chance to play?
Right. But at the same time, if you're in one of those lower schools, like I'll say Pitt, I'll throw Pitt in there, and I'll throw who do we just say?
Oklahoma or Memphis?
In Memphis in there. Pitt and Memphis in there. Why are you not having your players play? I mean, you know these guys are going to be back next year.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just depriving them of more basketball and yourself coaching more basketball and creating a better legacy for yourself.
And God forbid you win the NIT. That's
God
gonna be
forbid.
something.
God forbid you win the NIT. What's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen in the NIT is a injury, and obviously you don't want to see that, but that's literally the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're just playing more basketball. You're playing bonus basketball. You're playing at your home arena again if you get a top seed in the first few rounds, unless you're St. Bonaventure a few years ago, but that's besides the point.
2022.
Yeah, but this is going to be a very interesting tournament, but that NIT situation and all those extra tournaments, I guess, are kind of crumbling a little bit because we see CBI, CIT, they're both struggling to field teams right now, mostly because those are pay to get in, pay to play, as they call them. And
is the NIT?
NIT is not.
So I don't understand
NIT is not. And I don't know if the CBI is either, but the CIT is for sure. And the CIT only has about 9 teams right now, and they wanted to get to 16. So... because they wanted 4 regions of 4 teams, and they couldn't even fill out 4 regions of. Well, they tried. I think they're trying to figure something out, but I think one of the teams doesn't even have a game, and they play tomorrow.
Wow.
So yeah, not a great look for the CIT, but hopefully some schools can maybe pay up some of their money. Maybe Bonaventure. Sneaks into the CIT.
I wouldn't mind.
Maybe we said everybody transfers, so I don't know.
Yeah, we're probably done.
Yeah, we're probably done. But. Nonetheless, looking at the bracket this year, I'm very excited. So, Gav, who's a team that you think is in that Cinderella seed range, which is probably what? What would you classify the Cinderella range?
I would classify 8 on.
8 to on. Yep, 8 on.
16.
Yep.
I think that's a fair judgment. Maybe 9 on, because some 8 seeds are legit.
So I think it depends on the year. I feel like this is a year where you look at the
on.
8 seeds. You say it's 8 on. I feel like if you include Texas in the 7 seeds, I feel like Texas is too good for, there's only 1 seed difference between Mississippi State and Texas. I feel like in Nebraska, that's a big.
It's a big jump.
Big kind of, yeah.
But looking at the bracket, there's a lot of good teams, obviously. It's the best time of the year.
It is.
Some teams
we'll keep saying it too.
Yeah. Some teams that I think that can make some potential runs. And the first team I'm going to mention, I want to put a gun to my foot saying this. But I think Duquesne has the potential to make the Sweet 16. No, sorry, not Sweet. They have the potential to beat BYU round 1 because the way that they're playing right now, they're very hot.
Yeah.
They dominated in the A-10 tournament.
They did, and they were hot before it too.
They were hot before it. So looking at Duquesne, that's definitely. I think they do beat BYU, but playing Illinois might not reach Sweet 16, but has potential if they can get Clark going.
Yeah, and Jimmy Clark and Day Grant too. Their other guard. We hate Duquesne.
Very much.
So this is a very unbiased take from us, but Duquesne is a legit team. I feel like any team that came out of the A-10 this year was going to be deserving of it because the conference was so close the whole year. I feel like people were kind of mad that Duquesne won as the 6th seed. Yeah. But I feel like any team from Joe's up, who were the 8, 9 seed, I feel like any of those teams could have won the tournament. So I don't know why it was such a shock that they won. Yeah. Maybe it's a shock that they won it.
I wish more conferences were like this, where not only the 1 and 2 seed won.
Yeah.
I wish everybody was kind of like the A-10, which is kind of weird because it's a mid-major team. And I'm probably biased by saying this, but I like the competitiveness.
Yeah, me too.
Of having a 6 seed be in the championship with a 5 seed. That was awesome.
It's just great because you look at other mid majors like the WCC or even the MVC. I guess you throw those teams in there. Every year you get in the WCC you get Mary's Gonzaga. MVC you get Drake, Indiana State, or maybe one other team in there with Drake. But the A-10 every year it's a different combination. If you look at the A-10 tournament winners. I don't know if there's a repeat winner. I don't know if
it would from the past 10 years. I do not. Think
I don't remember.
If there might be one.
Yeah, and I feel like Dayton might have repeated in that range if COVID didn't happen. Yeah, but that's a whole other story there. But Duquesne, they're a legit team.
Yeah, looking at some other teams. Obviously, I'm throwing them in. Shoot me right now. Michigan State.
I'm not going to shoot you, but
has this potential. I know, 19 wins. It's really weird to look at.
How many Bonaventure had?
It's really weird to look at a team to have 19 wins be in the dance, but there's one reason. It's because they have the greatest coach in basketball right now. Still coaching.
Greatest. Not the best. He's the greatest coach in basketball.
Greatest active
college basketball coach right now.
Active.
Greg Popovich is a greater basketball coach.
We're talking NCAA.
Okay.
All right. Great. He's the best active NCAA men's basketball Division I coach.
Very true.
Okay.
I think that's true.
With having Tom Izzo, Izzo March is a phrase that everybody knows by now. He has a potential. They have a potential to make to Sweet 16.
How many in a row?
26 in a row.
26. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The 26 consecutive dance appearances. So they play Mississippi State round 1. I think that's an easy win. Not easy win because they just crushed Tennessee, so they're hot right now.
Yeah.
But Michigan State, with the way they played against Purdue,
yeah, and
they lost 5 of their last 7 to end the season. So this is the time where they're going to lock down, buckle down. I mean, you have Bogard, Tyson Walker, Sissoko. You got some dogs on the team who can play some ball.
They do.
You got Izzo's son who rides the bench. He's a great team guy.
I just found out he was adopted.
Yeah, he was.
I just found that out.
He looks like his dad, too. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, how many people don't know that he's adopted? Because I feel like that I only found out because the ESPN post on Instagram, or ESPN or March Madness post on Instagram, just talking about their story. But Michigan State, it's so impressive every year that they're in. I mean, even it being a 9 seed, they're still in. You still have a chance.
But here's the thing. I mean, Mississippi State, it's going to be a tough matchup for them. They size up equally.
Yeah.
They play North Carolina if they win. That's a tough match. But
assuming that North Carolina beats one of the teams tonight.
But
Howard or Wagner.
I really think if Michigan State gets paired with UNC, I think that's more of an anybody's game than all UNC game. So I'm going to throw Michigan State in my Cinderellas. I think Charleston is a Sweet 16 hope.
I mean, Sweet 16 might be a little bit of a stretch.
Well, hear me out, though.
But I fully understand it.
I definitely think they get to the round of 32. I'm not a big Bama guy this year. Last year I was huge on Bama. You remember that? I was huge on Bama last year.
Yeah, they were legit. I mean, they were 1 seed last year, weren't they? Yeah.
But this year, not as many guys. I also have somebody who went to my high school play on Charleston, so I'm going to be a little biased in this
Shout
sense.
him out.
Frankie Policelli.
He's averaging like 10 points a game.
Yeah,
I mean, he's like a legit player in this team.
Oh yeah, and
he might get March minutes.
So if they beat Bama, they'll either play Grand Canyon or St. Mary's. I don't think Grand Canyon is one of those teams, but St. Mary's is a potential matchup. I mean, I'm gonna throw this out. I mean, I think the team to advance that's a 10 seed. I don't think I'm putting all arrows, all weapons on Dayton. I don't think they get out of the first round.
Wow. Oh, so you think Nevada?
I think Nevada. I've got Nevada moving on.
Okay.
But that's kind of it for that. That side of the bracket, those are my Cinderella hopefuls.
Okay.
A couple of them to the Sweet 16, most of them to the round of 32. Looking at the right side of the bracket, I'm not liking the first couple matchups. I mean, I don't think Nebraska or Texas A&M comes out of the round of 32.
No, but let me mention this. I've seen like a lot of very interesting points about this specific matchup right here because it's the same matchup in the women's tournament.
Huh.
And, yeah, which is interesting, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know which way it is, but either the Texas A&M AD or the Nebraska AD, I think it was the Nebraska one, left and went to the other school.
Wow.
This past week.
Huh.
This past week. And then both schools get matched up in both tournaments against each other. Is that a coincidence by the NCAA? I don't know. But at the same time, that's still something very interesting to monitor if you like want to put that into your reasoning behind your picks. Because I feel like some players might have motivation either way.
Yeah.
You know? I feel like if your team lost and you go, hey, we just lost our AD to this guy, like that's not great. Especially if you're I keep forgetting his name. Their senior on Nebraska, the Asian guy.
Japanese Steph Curry.
I can't remember his name.
That's what they've been calling him.
If you're a guy like him, he's been on the team for 4 years.
It's like Kasimi.
Yes.
Kamari or something.
He's a dog.
I can't remember.
He's a dog, regardless.
He's awesome. He's a step back three.
He's awesome, yeah. But a guy like him, he's a senior or he's an upperclassman for sure. He's been there for a while. I mean, doesn't he have some more motivation for this game? So I think Nebraska's a team to maybe look out for. Not to say to maybe beat Houston in the next round, but at least if you're going to push for them, I think to win this game. I think it was Nebraska that lost their AD. I'm pretty sure.
Some other teams I like to look at, I kind of like Utah State here. I mean, they're one of the best scoring teams in the country, and if they escape TCU, they might have potential to beat Purdue if Purdue advances because you know what happened last year. So who knows with Purdue? I don't like Purdue. I'm gonna say a little early take. That's one of the seeds that I think won't get past the Sweet 16. I don't think Purdue makes it past the Sweet 16, but another team I think
is that a hot take? I think that is. I think that is a hot take.
I mean, they have a pretty easy road to get there.
Yeah, they do.
Another team I like just advancing one round. I like McNeese, man. They play Gonzaga, and the Zags are not the same Zags we've seen in previous years.
No, they're not.
So McNeese is a hopeful. A sneaky one I like is Oregon over
I don't think
South
that's
Carolina.
sneaky at all.
Well, Oregon's hot. South Carolina is a very, very good basketball team, especially this year. They were on the up. Since previous years, they've been kind of in a struggle. They kind of proved themselves this year. But Oregon in that Pac-12 run, that's something special I highlight. And then just a shout-out. This team's not winning. I'm putting it out here right now. But a shout-out to St. Pete's.
I was going to say St. Pete's, yeah.
Because, unfortunately, one of our
I wish they were
players-
playing any other 2 seed because I'm so
I
big.
wish they played Kentucky.
I'm so big on Tennessee this year. I don't know, for whatever reason.
I'm really big on Tennessee this year, too.
But I
Since
wish
they
St. Peter's
lost?
was playing any. Because I picked Long Beach State in one of my brackets. I'm not going to lie to you. I picked them over Arizona in one of them.
I do really wish
Not
that
my main
St.
one.
Pete's was a 14 seed playing
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
Have a little rematch.
That would be nice.
I
That
mean,
would be nice.
They don't have like any of the same players,
No,
but
none of them.
it would be really cool.
It would be really cool. So, I mean, you touched on a few of the teams I was going to talk about, especially Charleston. I honestly think I'm going to pick them to win. Like, I think I have them in my bracket.
I have them in my bracket. man.
For whatever reason, I just don't believe in Bama this year. They've let up 100 points in 3 of their last, 5 games, I think. So,
Oof.
not great.
Wow.
Yeah. So, they don't play much defense. I think a team that could sneakily
Okay.
make a run, and a lot has to go right for them,
Okay.
I think is Drake. And let me say this.
I could see this.
And I know we've
could
touched on
see
Drake
this.
a little bit. They're playing Washington State in the first round. That's a very favorable matchup for them. A 7-10
yeah.
matchup. Washington State is one of probably the worst Power 5 teams in this year.
Yeah.
Them, Virginia, if you want to throw Texas in there maybe, but Texas was in a very tough conference, but whatever. Regardless. Mississippi State, Michigan State. So if they win that game, they would play Iowa State or South Dakota State. Let's assume the Jackrabbits lose that game and the Cyclones move on. So
I think it's pretty safe to.
Iowa State's
say
a
that.
very good team. I have them going pretty far in my bracket. I believe in them
I have
a lot
them
this
beating
year.
I have them beating UConn.
Ooh,
I think that's one of my favorite higher seeds is
Okay.
Iowa State this year.
okay.
In one of my brackets. I mean,
So-
I have 8 million because I am addicted to March Madness.
Yeah,
that's my drug
the
is
best.
March Madness.
It's the best. Let's say that Drake somehow beats Washington State, beats Iowa State, right?
wow.
From there, all they have to do in the Sweet 16, not all they have to do, but who would they be playing in the Sweet 16
More likely
is
Illinois.
one of BYU, Duquesne, Illinois, Morehead State. They'd be playing Illinois most likely.
More likely.
And I feel like there's a
Big
way
Ten
that
champs. You think they beat 'em?
the Drake Bulldogs can get to the
Elite
Elite Eight. I feel like there's a way. I'm not.
Is this a VCU feel? Here?
I'm not picking
Drake?
them to get there. I don't know. I'm not picking them to get there, but I'm just saying that is definitely a team where I feel like in that little section of the bracket, I think definitely Sweet 16 against Illinois. But when you get there, you never know. You never
That's
know when you
very
get to that
true.
point. I feel like
Very-
round of 32 is kind of the cutoff. Like, I feel like round of 32 is a lot of chalk,
Yeah.
and it's like few upsets
A lot of
here and there.
Cinderellas
Obviously, first
leave
round's a
and-
ton of upsets, like here and there.
Yeah.
There's more games, but I feel like that round of 32 is really dry mostly. That Saturday and Sunday, but then that Sweet 16 day, that Thursday when they have 4 days to prepare, I feel like there's some more upsets on those Thursday and Fridays of the
I
next.
mean, there
week.
are. I mean, when you watch film for 4 days straight, you find some kinks, you find some bleeds,
do, and
you
you
find some good and bad, and you work around.
You
that.
find where they put their bandages on, you try to rip them right off.
Yep.
Another team that I really like coming out of the West region, they're playing Clemson in the first round. I like the New Mexico Lobos.
I have Clemson as one of my frauds.
Yeah, they're definitely a fraud, and I've
They
watched
should
them.
not be a 6 seed.
I've been watching them
I've been
a lot
watching
of the
them all
year. A lot of the year. I've watched a lot of the ACC. I feel like this year because I feel like they're one of those they're always on ESPN, the ACC,
They
and they're
are.
always on by themselves basically as a conference. So
Mhm.
I feel like I always watch Joe Girard and that Clemson team go at it, and your guy Joe Girard.
Don't get me started about my guy
Joseph Girard III?
BS. That guy can go. Not gonna say it on live air, but
He can go kick the can.
he'll go kick the can.
Yeah.
Go in the trash bin.
Yeah, go in the trash, Joe
Yeah.
Girard. But I mean, I
Your center's a
honestly
dog.
I don't believe in this team. Any team
yeah.
that has Joe Girard as their best player,
Mhm.
this includes Cuse last year,
Well, I wouldn't consider Clemson's best player being Joe Girard.
their best guard. I'll
best
say.
guard.
Their best
Their
guard.
second
I'll
best
say.
player.
Yeah, second best player. But I mean, regardless, I have New Mexico winning this game.
I do too.
If not, I don't think I'll have them beating because they'll probably be playing Baylor in the next round. Baylor's playing Colgate.
Baylor a lot this year.
Baylor, I feel like, is a team that
people either love or hate.
People love them or hate. We'll get into Baylor in a little bit. I don't want to get into the higher seeds right now. But another one of the lower seeds that I like out of we'll just go one by each region for me. I'll just do that. We'll go from the South region. Now, there's a few teams in here that are like pretty interesting to me. I really like
South region is very interesting.
Yeah, it's just really tough because I'm not a total believer in Houston. I just want to see it from them one time in the tournament where they make an actual run.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's been all these times where it's been like, oh, Sweet 16, Houston's out. And they're like a 2 seed. And it's like, what are we doing? Like putting them in here. I feel like
it's a lot better now because they're not in the American.
Yeah, exactly. They're in the Big 12. They're a little bit more legit. Like, I believe in them a little bit more. I really do this year, and I have them going pretty far. But like I said, out of that Nebraska-Texas A&M matchup, I probably have A&M winning that game. And I think I think A&M, I feel like in a Texas showdown between Texas A&M and Houston, I feel like in that matchup, I feel like Texas A&M might be able to take them down. But that's not the team that I'm really going after right now. There's a team that's hot right now in this region. Their name's the Wisconsin Badgers. They're a little bit too hot right now. A little bit too hot right now. But you know who was hot early in the season and cooled off a little bit? People kind of forgot about them. Those Dukes of James Madison, baby. Those Dukes are the 12 seed. We know what 12 seeds are. Let's look at the stats right here. 5 versus 12 game. 5 seed has won 99 times. 12 seed won 53% of the time. It's only a 5-game difference from the 6 to 11 game.
Wow.
That's a big jump.
5-12s are the most shocking.
It's a big jump. Yeah. I mean, it's a 650 win percentage for 5 seeds. That's not a ton. And for 4 seeds, it's 789. That's a big jump. That's 13 percentage points right there. That's a big jump right there for 5 to 4 seeds. So James Madison coming out of that South region, and if they can win that game, I mean, who's to say that they can't beat Duke? I don't really believe in Duke either. I believe in them against Vermont, even though Vermont's a fun story every year. They get in. They're kind of the same thing.
Yeah. But, the American East is very, very bad at basketball.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we'll throw in Colgate there for the Patriot.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same situation there.
I think it's almost exactly the same situation.
But what are the teams supposed to do? I mean,
hey, keep winning your conference.
Keep winning your conference.
We have nothing wrong with winning your conference.
I mean, shout out to Vermont. I mean, I saw them in Buffalo 2 years ago. They had a crazy fan section. And I'm pretty sure they're playing pretty close to Vermont now. I think they're playing in Brooklyn. Yep. Those fans travel well from personal experience. So look for a lot of Vermont games at that game and look for it to be a lot closer than people expect because they were pretty close with Arkansas, and Arkansas went to the Elite Eight, I'm pretty sure, 2 years ago. Yeah, so, I mean, just watch out for those catamounts of Vermont. So going to the Midwest region, the last region here that I have, you touched on McNeese a little bit. I really like McNeese.
You like the M logo too on there?
And I do like that M logo.
You do like that M logo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
It's the exact same M logo as Michigan.
Oh, is it?
With a horse on it or whatever.
Oh, my God. I didn't even notice that. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, I'm definitely picking McNeese now. But you touched on Oregon. Oregon is a team, and I think this might be the year of the 11 seed.
It might be.
If you look at the 11 seeds, I already talked about New Mexico. I'm talking about Oregon right now. The South Carolina team is good. And honestly, I had them, for whatever reason, I think I had them beating I think I had them winning the SEC tournament for whatever, just as like a long shot pick.
Yeah.
But Oregon, they have like the same record as South Carolina. And they just won the Pac-12 tournament. They're hot.
It's a very weak conference, though.
It is a very weak conference, but they still won it. And I think they played some pretty decent games in that tournament to get there.
They did.
So with that being said, I think Oregon could win this game. And I mean, that 3-14 matchup, a lot of people are saying that Akron could potentially upset Creighton. I don't believe it to be true.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
One of our friends, Tommy Marino, is big on Akron right now. I don't know why.
You want to know why? One reason I'm not going to pick Akron? Because St. Bonaventure beat them.
That is true.
And if we beat anybody, they don't believe they shouldn't be in the tournament.
That's a great point right there, Gavin. But anyway, I think Creighton's going to win that game. Yeah, we did beat Longwood. I think Creighton's going to win that game as a 3 seed. But I mean, Oregon coming up against Creighton there. I mean, who's to say that the Ducks can't go into that game and win?
They could definitely win that game against.
If
Creighton.
they win that game, they'd be going against Tennessee. Who's to say Tennessee doesn't lose to Texas by that point? I mean, if you get to the Sweet
That's a head
16,
coach right there who's bounced between both those schools with Tennessee and Texas.
yeah, I mean
That's
those two schools I feel like always get put in the same region for whatever reason. I feel like a lot of people get
Battle of the Orange.
A lot of people get them confused too. I mean, the TE with the orange and the white,
the burnt orange or the orange. I mean, it's hard, man.
It is hard. I mean, it is hard.
I mean, volunteer orange and burnt orange. It's a tough mix, man.
I know. So, but those are some of the Cinderellas that we're looking out for right now. If I had to throw in maybe one more, a lot of people like Samford over Kansas. I don't know if I totally believe that, but I understand the reasoning. Kansas has McCullough, I think, is their guard, and Dickinson, their center. They're both banged up right now. Dickinson didn't play in the Big 12 tournament, and they probably won't be fully 100% for the tournament. They'll probably be around 85,
I think
90.
Dickinson might be back by like the Sweet 16, I think they said.
No, he'll be back for the tournament.
Oh, he will.
He's just not going to be 100%. He's going to be playing. He's not going to be. So that's why everybody's saying. I looked on this. Samford is a lot of people's big upset
pick. They
pick,
make it a lot too,
and they could. But a thing that I saw that was really interesting about Kansas that they only play 6 players, including the 2 that were hurt.
Wow.
Yeah. They only play consistently. They only play 6 guys. I know they put in a few more for the Big 12 tournament, but I mean, you need depth in March to go far. So
that's very true.
I like Kansas to win a game, but even against McNeese in that second round, I don't know there, and especially against Gonzaga, I have no clue there. If they get any further than that, I don't think they beat Purdue. I feel like Purdue's it's their region to lose. Honestly, I know they're the 1 seed, but like
they gave Purdue a very favorable time to go redeem themselves, but in a bad way.
And this is a great time for us to go talk about the top seeds right now. So the 1 seeds are UConn, Houston, North Carolina, Purdue. If you didn't know that already, but I want to mention something about Purdue. Well, 1 seeds in general. So last year, obviously, Purdue lost to Fairleigh Dickinson, 1-16 matchup.
What a
historic
great game.
Historic matchup. Only second time it's ever happened in history.
2-170 something.
They are 150-2.
150.
1 seeds are 150-2 against 16 seeds. So I mean, that's 98.7%.
Yeah,
very high percentage. But anyway, the only other time that happened, Virginia was the team that lost in 2018, and then they won the national championship the next year. Not saying Purdue's going to do the same thing. I'm just saying that's something to monitor for a team
History might repeat
especially
itself.
With a lot of the guys coming back because they're so disappointed from last year. There's no way they lose in the first round.
There's 0% chance.
There's no way that Montana State and Grambling even had a chance in that game. But I feel like that's a region where Purdue can just look at it and say, hey, let's just go win 4 games and get to the Final Four, and then we'll figure it out from there. Because I feel like if you get there, if you look at who they'd be playing in the South region, the best teams that they're going to be playing are Houston, Marquette, Kentucky, or Duke, or Wisconsin. Those are the top 5 in that region. So if they can get out of that, I feel like they have a good chance to make it to the championship. And obviously, if you get to the Final Four or the championship, anything can happen in March. So, I mean, Purdue's a team that I really like. I don't have them winning personally, but that's just something to monitor there because I feel like if they win this year and we see another team beat a 1 seed, I feel like everybody's going to be looking at that 1 seed the next year for the championship if Purdue follows it up this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get into some top seeds I think are frauds.
Frauds.
I like it. Team you just mentioned, I think Purdue's a fraud.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I mean, I see both sides of the coin. I really do. I just wanted to play devil's advocate, I think, for the case that, I feel like they could, that motivation. I feel like motivation is a lot of March. I feel like it's not just the team and how you play in the regular season because we've seen it before. Teams just don't care. I mean, especially those mid-major schools. So, I mean, who's to say? But this Purdue team, I mean, could they have the same mentality as last year going into it?
Or will
do they make the same mistake? Do they flip? Yeah. Who knows? But
it's a tough one.
You think they're frauds. That's totally fair.
I just don't see them making the Elite Eight this year. For some reason, I just feel like if they get matched up against a Kansas and Dickinson does
Kansas
get
fully healthy team is a lot different than Dickinson at 90%.
And if Dickinson, even if he is at like a 90%, that's enough for Edey.
Yeah,
I think that's get your popcorn if that happens because.
I think teams need. I mean, especially Montana State and Grambling, and probably TCU and Utah State. They probably already started looking at Purdue. I think teams really need to look at what Fairleigh Dickinson did last year to Edey because Edey was a non-factor in that game all game. It was just the guards going at it. So if you can get Edey out of the game, leading scorer in the country, by the way, at like almost 30 points a game in college, which is crazy. If you can get him out of the game, hold him to. It's crazy to say only 20.
Is he retired his jersey already?
Yeah, retired. I'll touch on it.
It's really weird.
Yeah. So if they can hold them to about 20 points, which is I know it's crazy to say, I don't know if the rest of the team scoring 50.
I don't think they are.
So, I mean, you can hold them to 65 points. You can probably score 66 points in a game, right, Grambling? Right, Montana State? Try to beat them in the first round again. That'd be so embarrassing for Purdue.
It would be
and like you just mentioned, they Purdue on senior day, they retired Zach Edey's number. That's awesome. That's awesome, right? But at the same time,
don't do it for the madness.
If you lose in the first 2 rounds this year, and you look back at Zach Edey's college career, what did he do besides win Player of the Year?
Yeah.
What did he do to actually help your team win? He just had a great career by himself.
Yeah.
I mean, I think his number should be retired by Purdue, just not right now.
100% not right now, though.
Not right now.
I mean, think guys like Carson Edwards who led that team. He's had historical runs.
Jay Nivey. I mean, I know he didn't have a great run, but he was an electric player that at least tried for the team. I don't know if I don't want to say Edey doesn't try, but I feel like he doesn't show as much effort as some of those other guys have in the past. But getting back to those frauds,
I think Arizona.
I was just about to mention Arizona.
It's another opponent that I think if Nevada can escape Dayton, Nevada has a chance to beat Arizona. And if neither of those teams do, I think Baylor's going to clean it right up.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because you just mentioned how we were talking about Oregon, how the Pac-12 is so weak, and how that's kind of a benefit to Oregon, how they won that tournament, and now they get the momentum going in. It's totally the opposite for Arizona.
Yep.
They're a 2 seed. You could really look at their schedule and say, who do they play?
They were really at the beginning of the season phenomenal.
Let's say this. Let's say who did they play in conference play? Because early in the season, I'm looking right here. They beat Duke by 5, beat Wisconsin by 25. Very impressive game. At the time, it wasn't that impressive, but now it is with Wisconsin coming back. Lost to Purdue, beat Alabama, lost to FAU, which FAU's an 8 seed now.
But they're questionable.
And they're questionable. So
they should be more of a 10.
I mean, Arizona did load their schedule up because they knew the Pac-12 was going to be weak. But at the same time,
disrespect.
I mean, they haven't played anybody great in a while. And that really does weigh on a team if you haven't played somebody in a while. I know they have a guy like Caleb Love who has experience in the tournament, but how far can one guy really get?
The last time he had really good experience was 2 years ago, though.
And he also wasn't on that team with that coach. He wasn't with that coach. So he was at UNC.
Yeah, no.
So,
that's what I'm saying. The last time he had a good run,
he
was on a different team.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
so who knows what he can do?
Arizona, some team to look out for there. But I don't totally believe in Marquette. But
this is not shocking.
I believe in them enough for them to make a deep run.
Yeah, I think an Elite 8.
I think maybe even further. I honestly think
they might make a Final Four run, but they're not sniffing a championship.
Only because I think that that region is so
weak.
Up for grabs. Yeah. But yeah, because it is. I don't want to say.
Well, it's not as weak as the Midwest. The Midwest is weak.
I think it's so well rounded that it's like the weaker teams from those seeds, but all together, so it kind of evens it out, makes it better. It's kind of weird. It's a weird balance there. But those top 4 or those top 5 seeds, I feel like you could pick any of those teams to come out of that region, and it'll make sense.
Yeah, and then again, I mean, with Marquette, I mean, I think Shaka Smart. I mean, he's had good years. He's had some bad years. Something I think about with Marquette, obviously, pass from the blast. Blast from the past. Last year, they had a great look to get to a Sweet 16. Michigan State ended that right there.
Yeah,
it was still an off year last year for Michigan State too. That's why I have the belief that they might have the chance to beat North Carolina for what I was saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, new team, new year. But if they escape Western Kentucky, which I hope they do, they have to play probably Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Florida's the best rebounding team in the country.
Are they?
And that's what they said in Selection Sunday.
Wow.
So that's a tough matchup just in the round of 32.
Yeah.
And if they escape that, then it comes Kentucky, and they have weapons on Kentucky.
If Kentucky can get there, and Kentucky's a team that I kind of want to touch on, but
I think Kentucky goes farther than Marquette.
Marquette first. I feel like Marquette is kind of turning into Gonzaga in a way,
so too.
Where it's like they get there every year, and
it's
like they make a deep
East,
run. Yeah, no, at least they're in the Big East, but at the same time, it's just like they get there every year. They're a 1 through 3 seed every year, and I feel like every year they're not there. Like you would think one year that they would be in the tournament. Same Houston, it's in the same group as this because I mean, just because they moved Power 5 this year doesn't make them like all of a sudden some crazy school
Yeah.
or some little school that turned big. You know, I mean, they've always been big. But Marquette being in the Big East, I mean, you need to show that you can hang in the Big East. UConn's done that, obviously. I mean,
They did it last year.
even as a 5 seed winning the national championship, I mean, why can't you do it as a 2 seed? Why can't you make it to the Final Four as a 2 seed? One year, Shaka Smart's got to prove us that he's actually a legit coach. I mean, I think he is, but like he needs to win some games.
He needs a
Meaningful
deep March
games.
Madness run.
He needs one. He hasn't had one since he was the VCU coach, right?
Yep.
So I mean, he hasn't had one since that
2011.
VCU run. So we're still waiting, Shaka. We're still waiting, dude. But getting to our top teams in the tournament are not frauds. I want to hear
Gotta throw UConn in there.
Yeah, I mean,
gotta
just
be.
top teams in each region. I mean, let's just say, who do you think your Final Four is going to be?
I'm gonna say it in the sense of not in my bracket.
Not in your bracket.
Just 4 teams I think can make it.
Okay.
I got. It's really tough coming out of the East region. I really, really like Iowa State.
Yeah.
So for the sake of not being a UConn rider, I'm gonna give Iowa State my East bid.
I'm going UConn in the East. I mean, I
It's
totally
very
understand.
doable.
I totally understand
I
Iowa State.
understand your point too, but they're hot.
Yeah.
But I mean, UConn only
Something
lost
about
3
this
games this year.
UConn team, man.
I mean, they've only lost 3 games.
I know, but I mean,
and that's the point where it's like that's crazy. I mean,
No,
they
yeah.
deserve to be the first overall in the whole tournament.
I honestly just think the only team that could beat UConn before they get to Iowa State is Auburn.
And Auburn, I mean, they're good, but
I-
they're not
I'm-
UConn level.
Yeah, I think Auburn is Sweet 16 team this year. I think
think
they're
so, too.
nothing more than that. I think they could be less than that, but I think they beat Yale. But
Yeah.
Auburn's another team that played Bonaventure. They beat us though, so
They
I mean
did.
we can't group them in with Longwood
Nope.
and Akron. But
Nope.
I mean
They
Auburn's
kicked
still. I
the
mean
tires off
they
us.
did. So I mean they're really not in that company. But yeah, I think I got UConn coming out of that region.
Coming
Defending
out-
champs. It's hard not to pick them.
It is. Coming out of the West,
25% of brackets have UConn winning, which is crazy to me.
yeah.
It's just crazy.
I feel like it should be more low key.
Really? 25%?
I'm joking. I'm joking. I mean, that's for March
That's a
Madness. It's a
crazy
lot
amount.
of percentage right there.
I mean, usually the top is like 18,
18,
20
yeah.
in there. 25%. A fourth of brackets have UConn
Yeah.
winning.
That's
I
crazy.
think I have one where they win.
yeah.
One.
I have out of the West region. It's a really tough region.
I got UNC. I'll just say that. I have
yeah,
UNC.
I mean that's a good one. I'm gonna go Baylor, coming out of the West region. And
3 seed.
3 seed. Point being, I really don't think Arizona's not coming out, and I don't think UNC will come out just because they have a tough road. So I'll give it to Baylor.
I mean, I disagree with you. I don't really think UNC is that tough of a road. I think you just think that because Michigan State's there.
Yeah.
Which is fair. And I don't expect you to think anything different,
Oh, yeah.
obviously. But
Wouldn't that be awesome?
this
though?
UNC team, for me, I've looked at their roster. I've looked at what they did in the past. They missed the tournament last year, right?
Pretty positive, yeah.
I mean, or they're up for it. I think they missed it.
I think that's it too.
But year before, national championship, lost to Kansas.
yeah.
Lost to Kansas, right? They got crushed, honestly, by Kansas.
Well,
but-
no, they were leading for a long
Yeah,
time.
no,
man.
sorry. They were winning at halftime and then lost the game probably by 15. Regardless, they lost that game by a ton. Big
Yeah.
swing in the second half. But if you look at that roster, it's a lot of the same key guys from that
It
team.
is a
Without
lot.
Caleb Love, obviously, he's
You
at
got
Arizona.
Armando Baycott, who
Yeah,
I
but-
swear to God's like 28 years old.
Baycott, RJ Davis. I mean, they got guys. I mean, this team is legit. Hubert Davis, their coach, I mean, he's been legit ever
He's
since he
been
stepped
really
in
good.
that door. So I really believe in this UNC team. I think
I think
last
if there
year
is
them.
a year,
It's
this
another
is theirs.
motivation. It's another motivation pick that I have, but I think this is a definitely better case than Purdue's motivation because this team didn't even make it last year. And they made it to the national championship, didn't make it last year. Now they're back
Yeah.
to potentially being arguably the greatest team or the best team in the country.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, so far I have Iowa State, Baylor, and believe it or not, I'm going Kentucky for my South region.
wow,
I don't think Houston will get out of it, and between Kentucky and between Marquette, I think Kentucky matches up a little bit better. So I got Kentucky probably beating Houston in the Elite Eight to make it to the Final Four.
Yeah, and this region was tough for me to pick. You might be shocked by my pick. You really might be. Because let me say this. In my Elite Eight for this region, I had Duke and Kentucky.
No, I mean, that's a completely good prediction. I mean, who knows what that Duke team can do? They have a lot of weapons. They just gotta know how to use them in March. That's all.
Yeah, and I honestly think they will. I think they'll figure it out. I have Duke going to the Final Four.
And they have Kyle Flipkowski,
and that's
Jared McCain, Proctor.
That's my main reason. They're deep. They are deep. They have depth. I think depth is a key point of winning.
And that's
in March.
why I got Kentucky coming out of this.
Yeah,
region.
Totally fair. I mean, the only thing that bothers me with Kentucky is their lack of defense. If they can't score a ball in one of the games, they're losing in the first round or losing in that game. I mean, they cannot play defense. They just cannot. I mentioned Alabama earlier. 2 of the times that Alabama let up 100 points was to Kentucky. So Kentucky can definitely score the ball. But at the same time, they've let up 100 this season. So SEC known for those high-scoring games this year. So look out for that, too, if you're picking one of the SEC teams in your championship for that final score prediction. But I got Duke in that region. I feel like the matchups that they can have in this, I feel like the best team
if they
can
just get past Houston, they can make it.
Yeah, I feel like that's just the biggest obstacle for them is Houston.
And then for my Midwest, I got Tennessee. So I just gave you
Me
four
too.
teams.
I also have Tennessee.
Not one of them are a 1 seed. I gave you 4 teams. Not one of them are a 1 seed. This is the year where the 1 seeds are not going to be in the Final Four.
Yeah, and I mean,
it might be. I mean, probably no. I mean, I think if there's one team, one number 1 seed that I think can absolutely win the whole thing, it's UConn.
Mm-hmm.
But for the sake of being fun, for the sake of having a day,
have a day.
I'm going Iowa State, Baylor, Kentucky, Tennessee.
I mean, I like that a lot. I really do. I also have Tennessee. I really like them. Dalton Knecht, right? He is so good.
Yes.
That guy is so good. He makes literally every shot that he puts up. But this Tennessee team, I had them beating Purdue, actually, in the Elite Eight. Something about this team, man. I don't know, the Vols. I can just imagine them sitting on the bench.
I love the orange,
bright
man.
orange. Yeah.
I love the orange.
Yeah, I think
cool pants.
The pants on the bench. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's just like so cool.
Something about being a volunteer, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, I got Tennessee going in my Final Four. So I got 2 1 seeds, a 4 seed, and a 2 seed.
And
I think this year, I feel like because last year it was a 4 seed, 2 5 seeds, and an 8 seed or a 9 seed, right? I feel like this year's a year where the top seeds are going to kind of come back in. I feel like it could be either or. We could just see a trend now of these lower seeds getting in every year in the Final Four, or we could just see it go back to where it was.
Yeah.
We really don't know this year because last year was so unpredictable.
It was crazy last year.
So, I mean, I just think this year, looking at the teams, I feel like there's definitely going to be 2 1 seeds. And just based on that, I picked the 2 best 1 seeds that I thought, and that was UConn and UNC. Unfortunately for me,
they got to play each other
in the Final Four. So in that matchup, I'll have UNC winning that. I just, for whatever reason, I feel like Baycott can handle UConn center. I forgot the white guy. I forgot his name. Not the white guy. Yeah, the white guy, right?
I can't remember his name, though.
UConn center. Whoever it is. They have a pretty good center, I'm pretty sure. I feel like he can handle him. RJ Davis, I feel like he could be hitting the shots from deep. And then you'll be looking at that second game saying after UNC wins that, you'll be like, hey, can we see a rematch of Duke-UNC? But this time in the national championship? No. Tennessee, I have going to the national championship against UNC. Once again, something about this team. They've been rolling the whole season, but for whatever reason, not getting any recognition. So,
they were like AP 7 all year.
They've been 7 or 8 like the whole year and never gotten moved up, never gotten moved down. They just been there the whole year, and nobody's really talked about them.
Even though they beat Duke twice.
Yep, nobody's talked about them.
They cleaned the clock in the ACC except for the final game.
Yeah, exactly. So, with that, my national championship would be UNC and Tennessee. But I'll let you get. Or should I finish mine?
Finish it.
I got UNC winning it all.
I could see it.
I really do. I mean, just for the reasons that I had before, this team was not in it last year. Made to the national championship the year before. I mean, that's a story right there for you to make it to the national championship at least, if not win it. So hopefully for UNC, I'm not a UNC fan, but I guess for this run, I'll be putting on my Carolina blue, and I'll be cheering for the Tar Heels.
All right, here we go. my final game, my championship game, I got Tennessee. I think we both like Tennessee
Beating Kentucky?
Beating
right?
Kentucky, yep.
Wow.
And it's really hard.
It is.
I got 2 Big 12 teams in the Final Four.
Yeah, and you had 2 SEC teams on the other side.
And
yeah.
So, with the best conference in basketball this year, the Big 12, this is going to be a crazy game. If it happens.
I hope so. I mean, really, I feel like there's not a ton of matchups where I would look at it and be like, I don't want this. I feel like last year was the first year that I looked at the Final Four and I was like, I don't really want that FAU matchup.
I hated it.
What was it? FAU and who?
San Diego State.
San Diego State.
I was so mad.
That was terrible.
I was so mad.
That was terrible. It was March.
It was
March.
But it's like, it's awesome to see that happen, but it's like, I don't want FAU there.
I just want one of the teams to be bad.
Yeah.
Just one of them in the Final Four, and then the other 3 are great. But, sorry, go ahead.
And then in that matchup, I got Iowa State.
Ooh. The Cyclones.
And then the Cyclones versus the Volunteers. I got the Volunteers. I'll be wearing my orange this March.
Go Vols.
I have an orange Volunteer sweatshirt. I'll be wearing that proud. I really hope Tennessee gets it done. That'd be really cool for the Volunteers.
I mean, that team and that program are definitely due for some success.
They're very due for at least a run.
I think that women's program's been pretty successful, too, for Tennessee.
Yeah.
So, I mean, probably the men want to get back to being successful as well. But, yeah, it's March.
Yeah, it's
March, man.
Happy March, baby.
Happy
March
March.
Madness starts tonight.
It's the best time of the year, honestly.
It literally is.
Couldn't really ask for anything more for sports right now. Just settle in, get your popcorn.
Get your brackets.
Get your brackets, sit down, maybe a nice refreshment by your side.
Yep.
Sit down, just watch the games all day. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days in a row.
Oh,
non-stop basketball. Sit down, just enjoy the games. That's all you got to do. If you have work to do this weekend, cancel it.
Cancel it.
If you have plans this weekend, cancel them.
Reschedule.
This is the best weekend of the year.
You don't want to miss it.
No,
You
don't.
do not want to miss
You
it.
don't. You don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, I didn't watch Sanford beat Kansas.
Don't want to be.
You don't want to be that guy.
Don't want to
watch Sanford beat Kansas. I don't know if they will.
Watch McNeese beat Gonzaga.
That'd be nice.
That'd be
nice.
awesome.
Oh wait, Gav. Right before we go, what's your favorite March Madness game of all time?
Favorite March Madness game of all time?
Yeah, it's a tough question.
I mean, off bias.
It can be biased. Yeah.
Cool. I got a couple games. Michigan State beating Duke with Zion Williamson, R.J. Barrett. That team was great. Michigan State shut them up.
That was what was that, Sweet 16?
It was the 1-2 matchup.
Yeah.
And I think it was
Duke
Elite
shouldn't
Eight.
even have gotten there.
Yeah, because UCF gave them a run for their money.
Taco Fall and UCF, yeah.
So I'll put that one up
This is
there.
2019, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. That's yeah.
I'm going to go Syracuse beating Virginia, Easter Day. That was amazing.
Wasn't that your
2016.
But it was, what was on that day?
No, it was the next game.
Oh, it was the next game? It was the next year?
That was in the Elite Eight. They lost on the Final Four to UNC on my parents' anniversary on April 2nd, 2016, the day that my parents got married. Good old CFO action.
Shout out to the CFO.
Scotty Williams.
Scotty, how you doing? How you doing? How you been?
We know he's listening right now.
Yeah, we know. I think for me, I won't.
And I wasn't alive for the Syracuse National Championship or the Michigan State National Championship.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you've been watching college basketball longer than I have. Like, definitely more into it than I have. So I don't think I'm going to pick a Michigan game because none of them like really stand out.
Except
to
for
me.
Jordan Poole.
Yeah, maybe besides that shot, but it was
Yeah.
just that shot. Like that game was great. Actually, that Houston game was great. But I mean, I think besides that run in the national championship, Michigan hasn't really given me anything.
Yeah.
I'll throw a little dark horse out there. I'll say UB beating Arizona. That was pretty fun.
All right.
That was DeAndre Ayton. They were the 2 seed. or 3 seed that year. DeAndre Ayton was going to be the first pick. He was the first pick in the draft, and UB beat them in the first round. That was awesome just for Buffalo in general.
Yeah.
Even though like I'm not a UB fan, but like, or I was, but at the time it was so cool to have UB winning that game. But if I were to pick,
Obviously, Nova.
Nova
and
UNC,
that's probably everybody's.
that's a big one. I feel like if I'm going to go back to a game, I'm going to pick that Gonzaga UCLA game from the COVID year.
Yeah.
From the weird 2021 COVID
Yeah.
year. It was Jalen Suggs versus Johnny Juzang.
Yep.
UCLA versus Gonzaga.
The buzzer
and
beater.
Jalen Suggs hit a half-court buzzer beater in the Final Four.
That
Sent
was
them to a national
crazy.
championship, keeping their perfect season alive.
Until they got ruined.
And then they got smoked by Baylor.
Yeah.
Well-deserved national championship for them. But the only thing I wish about that game and why it's not like right away in my head the best one
The fans.
is because there was no fans.
That crowd
or limited fans. That crowd would have
crazy.
I can get chills right now just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was sitting in my basement watching that shot, and as soon as it went up, I'm like, he's gonna bake this in, and he banked it in. He banked it in. Jalen Suggs, I remember standing up on that scorer's table.
Yep. He said, "This is my house."
But this is March. Anything can happen.
This is March.
Yeah, I'm excited for the upsets. I'm excited for I'm excited for the 1 seeds rolling over the 16 seeds.
One more thing. What was the scariest game?
Scariest game
They've ever watched?
Well,
I already got mine right.
Scariest game? What do you mean scariest? Like,
I'll give you an example.
I have a moment in my head that's like scary that I'm like traumatic about, I guess.
Not the monster under the bed. The scariest game.
No, I would say the scariest moment for me is when Kevin Ware unfortunately snapped his leg on Easter.
No, we're not getting that serious. Not that serious. I'm going to say the scariest game I've ever watched in March.
I thought that's what you meant. I thought that's what you meant.
Was when Michigan State played Syracuse.
Ooh.
And I was like torn between who to root for.
Yeah,
and Syracuse ended up winning that game.
Were you more happy that Syracuse won?
I don't know.
I still don't know to this day. You still don't know.
I was happy and sad, and I was sad and happy.
I don't think I have a scariest game. I don't think I do. But if I had to pick a moment, I think I would pick, unfortunately, Kevin Ware.
Yeah.
They won the national championship. We actually touched on the national championship earlier.
Yeah.
But Easter Day, 2013.
That was crazy.
Not great. Don't look that up.
No.
Please don't.
But
sorry to bring it up.
Look up UNC Villanova highlights.
That was a great game. 2016-17 around there.
16.
Yeah. What a game that was. But hopefully this year's even better. National championship's better. All the games are better. Hopefully we get 67 buzzer beaters this year. That'd be great.
Come on now.
That'd be great. I mean, out of 67 games, I hope there's probably
at least 10.
At least 10. But probably
10 and a half. Hopefully
we'll be
over.
lucky if we get 10.
Yeah.
With that, though, make sure you guys follow us on Instagram.
At Out of Bounds Podcast with a dot between every single word.
We will have an Out of Bounds bracket up soon on Instagram. So just keep an eye out for that. This episode will be posted. Obviously you're listening to it right now. So thanks for listening.
Hopefully we got our first 4 predictions right.
Hopefully. Hopefully Howard's pulled it out by now. Maybe not, though. But thank you guys for listening. This is the best time of year.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys for listening, and have a great day.
Have a day.